tonight on Sai's Eyes on the Skies.
There we go. It seems like we've seen every type of weather this week, from snow, rain, and finally sun tomorrow. I have more for you coming up.
Plus, Garrett is in the studio with your national forecast. All that and more as this Thursday, January 25th edition of Sai's Eyes on the Skies starts now.
It's Monday night on ISU TV, broadcasting live from Ames, Iowa. This is Sai's Eyes on the Skies. ISU TV's longest-running television program brings you the weather from around the country to the heart of Iowa. The ISU Meteorology Department team of forecasters keep you ahead of the storm. From Iowa's most trusted weather team, this is Sai's Eyes on the Skies.
Welcome back to Sai's Eyes. I'm now joined by Sara. So, how was your day today, Sara?
It was pretty good. How was your day?
It was pretty good. You know, very warm today, so.
Very warm today. It'll continue on into tomorrow. But my roommate today, actually, a good story, is she went to class and her professor let them out very early because so many people in the class had the flu.
Oh, it's
I know.
certainly going around right now.
It's certainly going around. But the good news is it looks like it's finally going to warm up tomorrow. We're looking that we'll probably eventually hit 50 at some point tomorrow. But as for right now, we're still seeing temperatures in the 30s. Definitely winter here. Still in Ames, it's 38. Much cooler out in Sioux City, though, so at least you're seeing in the 30s and not the 20s. But down in Burlington, the Quad Cities area, they're finally starting to see mid-40s. And I'll have more for you coming up.
And now it's time for tonight's weather story. On this date in 2010, one of the snowiest winters on record across much of Iowa produced a deep snowpack across most of the state, toppled with a slick crust resulting from a couple of light rain and freezing rain events in mid to late January. And now we will turn to Garrett with a look at what's going on around the country. Garrett?
Thanks, Benji. As Sara pointed out, it was significantly warmer today, and these conditions for most of the country are going to continue. For most of our lovely residents of the United States, as long as they're south of that jet stream, they are going to see temperatures mostly up in the 50s and possibly low 40s as you're closer to that jet stream line. Those temperatures above it not going to be too warm, kind of 40s, and as you keep pushing forward, you're going to get into the 20s. I'll have more on that right up next.
Back. We are now joined by Garrett with a look at what's happening around the country. Garrett?
Thanks so much, Benji. If you guys happen to see that almanac, you saw today's high was around 48 degrees. That was almost 50. That's well above average from what we've seen most of for here in Iowa at least. For most of the country, that is kind of the same story. We do have 50s all along, kind of about the nice midway point through the entirety of the nation. 53 San Francisco, 51 Denver. Now when we start to move up past that jet stream point, where the two boundaries between the warm and cold air start to meet, we do start to see 40s, and off to the east, we do see now into 30s, and up north, kind of closer to Maine and Caribou, 4 degrees. It's much, much cooler as we kind of stay north above that line. In the northeast part of the nation, that is kind of that same story. They are above that line, so they're going to see temperatures in the 30s, 40s, and even single digits as we move into more parts of the northernmost parts of the Northeast. Moving on the south part of the East Coast, we do have 60s, 50s, 70s all along most of the southern half where they are below that line. They are going to see those warm conditions. Moving off to our west, kind of that same story as we saw in the east, but those temperatures are a little bit warmer. Phoenix right now, 74, so it's a little bit warmer than we have parts on the eastern half, and you can see it right along here is where that line starts to really take significance. So you can see those temperatures already in the 30s. And as we move up even further north, we do see that temperatures slowly start to drop, and we get into those 30s, 40s, and it's going to continue for parts of the week. For currently satellite radar, mostly clear for parts of the Midwest. We can kind of notice here, you can see where that nice little jet stream line starts to take path, and this is where these two start to clash and combine, and this is where we kind of see those clouds start to form a little bit, but this is what's going to dictate what kind of conditions we're going to see for most of the rest of the week. Along with this, as that starts to continue to move this way, we start to see those warmer temperatures kind of start to continue shifting to the east, and as more of the western halves are going to be a lot cooler. Right now, what we're looking at is the jet stream over the 500 millibar heights. More likely, what I want to point out here is this jet stream that kind of dictates what the conditions we're going to see for most of the nation. Right where we see is these things called the ridges, that's going to dictate where we're going to see those, clearer skies, warmer temperatures, and off to our west here is where we're going to see those cloud cover, the cooler conditions. And by Friday into Saturday morning, that's going to start to shift more eastern, and parts of more of the Midwest here is where we're going to start to see those temperatures start to drop back down by the part of the weekend and into possibly we could see into the 30s. Futurecast right now, we can kind of see this high pressure starting to kind of take control, going to keep most of the Midwest fairly cloudless. We're going to see most of those warmer temperatures for today, tomorrow, and into Saturday. And then by Saturday, as we move forward, it was Friday night, we do start to see the cloud cover start to pick up just a hair, which we're going to see temperatures start to drop. And then that low is going to start to move on. It's going to start producing a little bit more rain moving into the East Coast, and that's where we're going to see those temperatures drop by Saturday and into the rest of possibly into the next week. Our travel city forecast is Washington, D.C. Kind of that same story on to the eastern parts of the United States. Warm for now, and then by Sunday, we do see that cold front start to push on through, where we can see a chance of rain and snow, and the temperatures do start to drop just a little bit.
Thanks, Garrett. Let's take a look at tonight's trivia question. What is the warmest temperature ever recorded in Iowa during January? Is it A, 70, B, 60, C, 65, or D, 73? We'll have your answer coming up, but now let's have a look at the week ahead with Sara.
Looking at the week ahead, we're starting to see some warm weather move into the weekend. We're possibly going to see the 50-degree mark tomorrow. It's going to be pretty dry with no really good chance of precipitation anywhere, and it's going to cool down again early next week back into the 30s and 20s. And stay tuned to find out what's ahead. Welcome back to Size Eyes. I'm meteorologist Sara Foernssler, and as I was mentioning before, we're having a warm weekend, and tomorrow we're looking at finally breaking into the 50-degree mark. And it's going to be staying dry for most of the week ahead. We're not looking at a high chance of rain at any point, but again, it is going to cool down next week. And when I can move on to the next slide, we'll talk about that. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. It's okay. All right. Our current conditions now, though, are pretty chilly. As Garrett mentioned before, we are still a little bit above average for today, but tonight we're looking right around that temperature that we're used to seeing at 38. There are some winds out of the southeast, and southeast winds tend to bring warmer temperatures, which we will be seeing into the future. Like I mentioned before, we are seeing 30s around pretty much the entire state. They are a little bit warmer down here, but again, that is going to change. It is a warm up coming from the south. Like I mentioned before, our winds are coming from the southeast, which again helps the temperatures warm up a little bit. Again, we're looking at 8 miles per hour here in Ames. A little bit windier up to the northwest at 12 and 8 miles per hour, but again, nothing too out of the ordinary for this time. As I mentioned before, we aren't seeing too much rain or anything happening. No snow finally. And up in the north, we are seeing some little bit of heavy cloud cover, but here in Ames, we're looking at a pretty clear night overall. The lows tomorrow, however, are going to be about 28, so the low will be just below the freezing mark. But across the state, we're looking at lows into the 30s, but again, not bad for mid-January at all. Sometimes we're used to seeing some negative numbers there. Tonight, again, we're just above the freezing mark at 35 degrees. We are seeing some calm winds from the northwest, and again, a pretty clear night. There possibly will be some cloud cover at some point, but nothing too out of the ordinary there. And finally, tomorrow, as I've been mentioning, is we are probably going to break into the 50-degree mark, which is completely not normal for this time. Usually the average is somewhere in the upper 20s to mid-30s. And down in Ottumwa and Burlington, we're seeing 54 and 55, which is something that you would see much more down south, not temperatures here at all. And again, still a little bit cooler up in the northwest at 40 and 42 degrees in Sioux City, but again, above the average, nothing too heavy to complain about. Again, tomorrow we are seeing mostly sunny skies. As I mentioned before, we're not going to see any sort of rain or snow or anything too bad. As I mentioned before, the flu is going around Iowa State, and most of the country at this point, it is flu season. So to inform you on that, we're looking at a moderate risk here in Iowa today. As I mentioned before, my roommate's class almost did get canceled because there were so many people with the flu. And in Illinois, where I'm from, they're looking at a high risk for the flu. And I know that's going around. A lot of schools have been closing early and letting kids go home. Kansas, we're looking at another moderate risk. But if you want to completely avoid the flu altogether, I would recommend going to Maine because they're not seeing very many cases at all. And looking at our extended forecast for the week ahead, tomorrow will be the warmest day we are seeing in a while at 50 degrees. Saturday, we are seeing high winds. There will be some gusts up to 21 miles per hour there, but those will be at 45. And then again on Sunday, we are cooling down a little bit into the 20s, slightly warmer on Wednesday. But again, mostly sunny skies, just a little bit of clouds there.
That forecast is definitely not something you want to sneeze about.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's take another look at tonight's trivia question. What is the warmest temperature ever recorded in Iowa during January? Is it A, 70, B, 60, C, 65, or D, 73? Garrett, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to say 60, but I know Sarah was looking at the Mesonet today, and she was saying, what was it you said?
It's 60 or 65. It was in the 60-degree mark, but tomorrow we break into the 50s. That's getting up there, but we won't break our record tomorrow, unfortunately. I'm going to go with C, though. 65.
I'll cut you down about 5 degrees. I'll stay in the B, 60.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the answer here, and it actually is A, 70 degrees.
70 degrees.
In Burlington on
What?
January 31st of 1989, it did reach 70 degrees.
Wow.
That's
Well, I mean,
nuts.
down in southeast Iowa, you tend to see the warmer temperatures. So I guess that's not too crazy, but 70 degrees for January, that's pretty insane
absolutely
for this
insane.
time of year.
Yeah, I mean, being from Minnesota, like, I'm missing all the snow that they're getting there, and I get all these warm
Yeah.
temperatures down here. It was interesting to figure out what was the warmest temperature. So
Right.
All I know is it's 50 degrees, and I think I might be wearing shorts
I'll
and
take
t-shirt
it.
tomorrow.
I'll
that's
take
probably
it.
what I'm going to be
Easy.
doing. So, well, that concludes tonight's show. Please be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you can find every show on YouTube under our Size Eyes channel. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.